Good morning, everybody. It is July 6th, and this is Coffee Pan Dulce. And if you hear me laughing, it's only because if you're listening to this on an audio podcast instead of the video version, my show partner in crime over here, Christian Cano, has got a glittery red, white, and blue fedora.
It's left over from July 4th.
Yeah, and a handful of little American flags. And just the dance, the overall lick, it obviously made me giggle. It's a super unprofessional of me, but yeah, I just love this.
I got one glassy eye, so it's all
yeah. You just having too much fun in your undisclosed location.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Absolutely. Well, good morning, Christian. How are you?
Good morning. Happy after July 4th.
I know.
Happy Independence Day. So
we, if you're seeing this when we first drop it or hearing it, it's July 6th is when this gets dropped onto the wild world web. And I mean, a lot's happened in a week.
It has. Wow.
Besides a 3-day, 4-day holiday weekend, I think a lot of people took off Friday and just partied their guts out all weekend. Where I live, there's been quite a bit of music. There's quite a bit of music today. Despite the storms, we did have some afternoon storms here, late afternoon, mostly just dumping.
Yeah.
It wasn't as serious as people thought. So it almost felt like an island shower. And so it's been, but it was nice because it was about 400 degrees here today. Until those rains hit about 5 o'clock because it was absolutely, it was sultry. Let's just say I was getting the vapors a little bit. It was a little hot. I come from South Texas, so
that's right.
That's if I say it's hot,
then it's hot.
It's definitely hot. For people that maybe don't know, we both live and broadcast typically from Charlotte, North Carolina. It is in the deep South. It is very wooded, a lot of water. So when it got up, I think in or around 98 degrees, almost 100 degrees, but Charlotte's like a crock pot, so it holds in the heat. I mean, when it gets warm and it got just enough clouds, it held in. Like right before that storm, I was just sweating through my clothes, and I was wearing as light of clothes as I could wear out in the public. So that tells you a lot. So anyway, I guess on with the show and our normal
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jenny, and welcome everyone to Coffee Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn, Barb Bacon, Mama Ruth, and we are baconless and Mama Ruthless today. I am at an undisclosed location the entire month of July, as I am usually in July. And so I do want to thank Jenny for helping us, helping me. We're at home. She's back in Charlotte, so thanks, Jen. I do want to thank everyone who's joining us on Facebook Live, but also those who join us on YouTube and Facebook later, and now the thousands of people who join us on your favorite audio podcast platform. Spotify.
we plug the hell out of Spotify too. Like we're on Apple, Amazon, and
Amazon, Apple,
and all the awesome platforms.
Right.
I'm an Apple girl myself, so all my devices, including the one that I present on the show, I use my iPad Pro, and hopefully maybe someday we'll get sponsored by that little plug.
Exactly.
You never know. Get some of that Apple money.
Exactly. Some of that Apple money. So once again, thank you for joining us. And as Jenny said, today is July the 6th. And for those who are joining us, thank you so much. And let's see, where am I? I'm a little bit off. I apologize. I one of my contacts is not working, and I've got one, and I can't. Anyway, long story. I can't get the contacts out, and so
we probably need to do our typical salute.
Okay. Yep. Let's salute to our neighbors. Whatever you're drinking this morning, thank you very much. And then also we do want to thank our producer's sponsor and supplier, Manolo's Bakery. Manolo's Bakery here in Charlotte, North Carolina, on Central Avenue. Please remember to support your Black and brown small businesses, or any small business. Always buy local. So with that said, let's go ahead and Jenny, introduce yourself, and as people know who you are, but introduce yourself again for those who may not watch this for the first time and any of your causes and buttons. So,
well, you muted yourself, by the way. I'm Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, and I'm a local LGBT member, but also with many causes like Charlotte Bride, the LGBT Democrats of Mecklenburg County, which is the county we live in, ENC, the Political Action Committee, which is Equality North Carolina. For the people who don't know what the acronym is, if they live outside of North Carolina or they're not in the LGBT community, they may not know or care. And I'm a big supporter of healthcare for all. I think it's a basic human right, and I also think it's an economic right. I mean, I think if all these other high wealth countries are doing it and we're not, maybe we're the stupid one. And of course, gun sense laws, ending violence, ending wars, anything that prevents and lowers harm in our society, we should be actively pursuing like there is no tomorrow.
amen. Exactly. And I'm Christian Cano, you're the co-host on today, and my buttons are healthcare for all. As Jenny said, Bonds of an Action, gun sense legislation. Happy Pride. Pride Month is over, but I still have the button on. And also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who was a guest of ours who passed away in 2021 at a young age. So, all right. So let's jump right into this. We're not going to have a long show. So let's jump right into our current events. We're going to just do 2 current events today, then we'll jump into our topics. Our topic today is all politics are local. Full disclosure, we were going to have some elected officials on, but we don't. So Jenny and I were talking about
It's kind of tough to do it
especially during the holidays. And
everyone's
got their thing.
We typically record the show on Monday night, tomorrow in real time. Right now, Monday night is also 4th of July, and
exactly.
It's probably not the most convenient time, especially if you're on vacation, to record. And then also too, just the noise factor. I'm sure where we're both going to be at. I live in a very busy, family friendly, but can get kind of loud on holiday nights, and so
I can imagine.
Our show level of where we're both at when we record would be, we might be fighting a lot of sound problems if we did record on 4th of July, no less.
Exactly. And you may hear some noise here during our show. So just let you know, full disclosure. All right. So our 2 current events, we're going to, like I said, I apologize, y'all. I've got one context in, one context out. So I'm going to have to go like this. All right. The first one, apparently over the last week, the Proud Boys, those who remember that gay group, but they are doing some marches around the country, and see if you want to comment on any of those marches. And then also, since our last time that we taped, there was actually the January 6th committee actually had an impromptu hearing, and Hutchinson, the young lady, 25-year-old young lady who was a assistant to Mark Meadows, a former North Carolina congressperson who was the chief of staff for President 45, and it was groundbreaking.
Gold.
Anyway, so it was incredible. So Jen, go ahead and comment on any of those that you want to talk about.
Well, she was an undisclosed guest, so when it went to press last Monday, when we were actually recording our latest episode before this one, we didn't actually know who was testifying or even the content of what they were going to say. But needless to say, if they're saying it's an undisclosed person's testifying, we knew it was going to be a bombshell. We knew that was probably more of a reason for more Americans to tune in, and probably people around the world to go, well, if it's undisclosed, there's a big deal. And I'm going to start with her first. First of all, since her testimony, there has been quite a few people that were also not only placed her in the scene, they're willing to testify under oath to do so, but also just a lot of people in general to back up what she said and even elaborate even more details, more. Quite frankly, if you're on the other side, if you're 45 or the Trump family that also was on staff, you're not going to be happy by this development, because Fox News and everybody else on the QAnon side of the news side has just been spinning lies and just, trying to do everything they can, hoping to discourage other people to testify. And it's just fed the fire. There's going to be a lot more just down this rabbit hole alone. And they've got plenty of rabbit holes to go down. I anticipate these hearings are going quite a while. I'm probably going to dominate the news cycle for quite a while as well. The Proud Boys, big old queens. I'm so scared. If you're really a Proud Boy, why are you stomping around? And they have these little drummers going along, and just people are inhabiting in these cities where they're doing these. I call them in the closet pride marches, because they use the name Proud Boys, which has a connotation all over the world of either they're a terrorist group or they're, in my case, I say they're the bisexual in the closet guys on Grindr that don't have a profile picture, and they not want to show their faces. So they're wearing these little scarf-looking, hanky, Lady T type scarves over their face. So all you can see is eyeballs, and they're wearing their little berets, and they're trying to look all tough. They just look like big old queens. I mean, just big old performative queens. And there's nothing funnier than big old white male queens just marching along, just like our friend Maddie Cawthorn, and probably all like Academy rejects, and probably can't even get into the National Guard or don't want to get into the National Guard, but think that they're like being all tough and scary when there's people standing on the sidelines watching these guys march and are laughing at them, visibly laughing at them, heckling them, and obviously nobody's scared of them, and I think it's in LA, a bunch of them got pepper spray too, so people are scared of them.
I think I saw that. Yeah,
people are giving the appropriate shade that they need to, and obviously, I mean, just the name Proud Boys, just every time I say it, it makes me smile, because their whole closetness and whole silliness, and it's just a silly group of just wannabes and just big old queens. It's great.
I mean, Jen, you have a very good point, because I want to talk about the Proud Boys. But you know what? Before we do that, because we're going to be a short show today, so since we're going to be a short show, let's go ahead and take our first break, and then we'll be back and we'll continue to comment on those two topics there. So we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll dance out. And so the Proud Boy thing, what do you think they think of when they go, okay, I think I want to join the Proud Boys? I mean, what do you think goes through their mind when they're like, okay, I don't want to join the military, I don't want to join the police force. I think I just want to be a Proud Boy. That's like the gayest. I mean, that I don't. I mean, it's weird, isn't it?
If people haven't watched this show a long time, they may or may not know that we're both in the LGBT community.
Yes.
Christian's not gay, but they is. But we're both
That's right.
flaming.
Hey, it's my last single show, by the way. It's my last.
I know.
Oh, okay. Anyway, we'll get into that. That's right.
But you're going to become a decent woman this next weekend. So just my vapors.
That's right. My vapors.
Yeah, but anyway, it's one of those things that I remember when they first, what was it, 2017, when their leader that's currently in jail right now he just has this big old big old San Francisco Pride mustache, and he was just peacocking. And it was like, at first, when I first saw it and I heard about Proud Boys, I thought, oh, it's kind of like a gay militia. I was thinking, they're going to have little sparkly pink berets like I wear, and it was going to be something that. And then I read more, and I was like, well, these guys sound more like brown shirts or terrorists, but I just thought that the name was ridiculously closeted.
Exactly.
Like, I hearken back to that headline that I first saw, and I think it was in the New York Times did an expose on them in 2017. I was just like, how do you tell me that you're gay without saying it? It's like the beginning. It's like the first conversation of, hey mom, I'm joining the Proud Boys. Oh, where's your boyfriend? It's just like I'd love to meet him. It's like a first story. And I've met Proud Boys. I've gone to some different conservative political events, and they lurk around a lot of libertarian and Republican meetings. They especially the young Republicans, and the first two I actually met that I knew were Proud Boys and told me they were Proud Boys, and they kind of seemed to posture a little bit like I was gonna be intimidated. Yeah. When they told me that, I giggled. I was like, yeah, you guys are pretty cute. This is the first thing I said. They were like, you could just tell that they were just shook and that I wasn't intimidated, because they both kind of tried to flank me in this meeting or after this meeting. And I was like, all right, I'm just like, congratulations, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you guys make a cute couple, and they both had power bottom energy.
No, exactly. I mean, do you think that they realize that many of us are laughing at them?
Oh yeah. I mean, and you see the video footage
because I have
cities, and people holding up signs, making fun of them, and just absolutely raking them over the coals. I mean, nobody is intimidated because these guys are just bullies. They're just they think they're scary, and I'm like, you guys wouldn't last 10 seconds up against Navy SEALs or anything like that. Like you guys, the only reason they were able to force their way into the Capitol is because there was like 3 cops. There was like 3 cops between them and the door. Like there was a couple thousand of them. I mean, yeah, obviously you're going to overtake 3 cops, no matter even if you don't have guns. It's 3,000 against 3. Clearly you're going to breach the Capitol. That's not much of a feat. If they'd had a SWAT team out there, preferably not Uvalde's SWAT team, but a real SWAT team and a National Guard, they'd have never gotten in. They just probably would have turned away and go home and hug their cock-shaped pillows, because clearly they're not that tough. I mean, I'm not even. Yeah, I mean, even drag queens have been handling them and pepper spraying them. So it's one of those things where, are they intimidating? I mean, no, they're clowns.
So hey, Jen, a question, because I've been thinking about this, and I know I've gone completely off of our topic here, but they made an effort during Pride Month to kind of like protest at prides and interrupt, drag queen storytelling, all that kind of stuff. It kind of got blown up. I thought for a second, because Charlotte Pride is in August, and some other prides are later on. What do you think is going to happen if they decide to, protest? Or this is a huge event in Charlotte, and I could just imagine they're going to be like the Flip. What's that religious guy that goes into the Flip?
He's
to me, it seems like if they decide that they're going to do something that at Charlotte Pride, people are just going to look at him and go, whatever.
There's a couple 100,000 of us, and there'll be 3 of them.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
We'll flip the script on
and someone will say, "Oh, I know you."
I know that. Probably right before they go to the event, they're going to check their Grindr profile.
Exactly.
And I'm just going to tell you, there's going to be, if they think Well, they're not showing up at any of the major prides. And when they do show up to an LGBT event during Pride Month, they go and pick a really small thing like with the library drag queen thing. So they're picking off Pride, off the main drag, so to speak, events. So they're not confronting, major city prides and trying to clash with us, because they do realize that, one, I know with Charlotte Pride, they have a tremendous amount of security, a city-sponsored security and county-sponsored security. And the only thing that's going to happen to them is they'll just leave in cuffs. And, if they do something stupid, and it's not to say they won't do something stupid, because Proud Boys are very, very extremely mouth-breathing stupid. But as some of them fucked around on January 6th, they also found out, because a lot of them have been sitting in jail for 18 months as well. So, awaiting trial. And many of them, all of them are going to do time. All of them, there's no mercy, and I personally deserve it. In fact, some of the sentences, I think, of a few years is too low. I think some of them should be getting 10 to 20 minimum if you're trying to overthrow a country. I
agree.
What are your thoughts about the Hutchison testimony?
That was, I was surprised. I know you had sent me a text saying, hey, this person's going to be, and quite honestly, I didn't really know who that was. So I had to look the person up. And then I was watching it because I was driving. Remember, I was running errands, and I was watching it on my phone, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, just everything that she said was just like firsthand information. And it was probably the most damaging thing that I've ever heard anyone say about Trump. And what did she have to lose? I mean, it's like she's not benefiting from this. And so, kind of to your point, she was so impactful that they're spending all their efforts trying to discredit her. And she basically has just said, I testified under oath. Testify under oath. If you want to, rebuke what I've said or whatever, testify, under oath. So, like the Secret Service guy.
And their biggest fear, and when I'm talking about their biggest fear, I'm talking about Trump's side, is that what they want to do is downplay the impact of all this. And not just with Hutchison's testimony, but with all the testimony, and just make this sound like a kangaroo court and that sort of thing. Yet the public is very much embracing it. It's feeding the fuel of accountability. And I think the longer it goes, the more steam it'll get. And it's just like the Watergate hearings, that led to the resignation of the president and vice president. At first they probably thought they could push through it, and dance around it. But once the more damning testimony started coming out, and more people said, no, we absolutely did it, and this is who led this. This is here's the tapes. Here's all that. As the evidence unfurls in this thing, it's going to be not only damning, but there's no. The further it goes along, the less of an out Trump, his staff, Congress people that were involved are going to be able to just wiggle out of this, and time is not on their side.
Exactly.
They want to encourage this thing to come to a rapid close. I don't see it coming to a rapid close. There's more and more Republicans embracing January 6th. There's more and more coming out saying, in the Congress that weren't involved with it, that are saying, yeah, we need to keep this going. And what you're going to see, and just like with Watergate, you're going to see two camps in the Republican Party. The people that go, if we're going to make the Republican Party viable going into the 2030s, and if we want any chance of being able to run for office and have any credibility, we've got to atone. We've got to, and I said this in 2019, way before January 6th. I said, there's going to be two Republican parties. There's going to be the pro-Trump camp, and there's going to be the anti-Trump camp. And they're eventually going to split off, and you're going to see the antis take over the party, because they have to. They realize that this clown show and the people, the money backing him, they're going to turn on. They're going to turn on the worst of the worst in society, because really what we're after in all this is not really Trump.
Yeah,
we're really after the really gross, awful, sadistic, evil terrorists that are behind this. The alt-right Christian movement, which is pretty much all Christian churches that are fueling this crowd. And finally, we're going to get to a point where we're going to. I've seen more and more that people were saying we need to tax churches, because we absolutely do. Their businesses, they're all involved in politics. They're all involved in so many of the things that are happening today, fueling anti-abortion, anti-LGBT, anti-Black Lives Matter movements, because Christianity is based on white supremacy. There is no workaround, because when they came to the Americans, they went and slaughtered people of color, indigenous people of color, for gold, glory, and God. And that theme is still here today. It's just, it may sound different. They may be carrying an AKA instead of, or an AR instead of a Spanish flag or a British flag or a French flag, and carrying a sword and a conquistador hat. The effect of white supremacy and Christianity cannot be unlinked. And it's that way in 1492, and it's that way now.
Jenny, that's what I understand about this Proud Boy thing. Surely they understand that eventually they're going to have to get real jobs. I mean, they have jobs, but eventually, eventually they're going to have to face people that are hiring them that don't look like them.
Well, that's why they're wearing the mask. That's why they're wearing.
Yeah,
the mask.
So it's like, surely they know that
they're wearing their little Proud Boy Gimp suits and their little masks over their face, because they are weak.
Yeah.
White supremacy is weakness. Mm-hmm. Any white person that thinks they are superior to somebody because of a skin tone, first of all, is a moron. Mm-hmm. Second of all, if you don't understand there's no brains or talent in your skin's just the covering to hold yourself together. I mean, it's just a physical. Yeah. It's like saying a piece of candy that's wrapped in a wrapper, that the wrapper is what makes the candy taste good.
Yeah.
It's basically what we're saying with white supremacy, that my pinkish, lighter skin makes me smarter than you, Christian. It makes me smarter than any person of color, or that I'm superior some way. No. My ancestors just lived a little bit closer to the North Pole than yours did. And because of that pigmentation gets passed down. But there's no brains. Like I say all the time, there's no brains in our genitals. There's no brains in our skin either. All our skin does is hold us together, protect us from the sun, and we actually can breathe. We do absorb some oxygen through our skin. That's about it. And so the ridiculous thing that white people are superior or smarter or whatever, white supremacy is literally the dumbest thing ever. But it's rooted into Christianity. And that's where this is all coming from, And so, honestly, we should be encouraging the limitations of churches. We should be putting them in check, because Christianity is the number one threat to democracy in the United States today.
Yep, I agree. All right, listen, we're going to take our because we're cutting the show a little bit shorter. Let's take our last break, and then we'll go into our topic. So our last break is going to be talking about a show that Jenny leads. It comes on about 30 minutes after this one on Wednesdays at 11:30. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. So if you like what you hear, just imagine we really let our hair down on that show. And so we'll be right back. This break, we'll talk about that show. We'll be right back on Coffee Pan Dulce.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you.
Well, welcome back, and don't forget to join the show, Two Queers in a Truck, and I'm on it, but she leads it. It's a little bit more organized than this show. So, all right. So the name of this topic for this show is All Politics is Local. We heard, everyone knows all politics are local. Basically, what that means is, you can worry about Biden, you can worry about Congress, you can worry about the Senate, but at the end of the day, everything that you and I live and breathe every single day is done by local elected officials, your city council, your county commission, your school board. So really all politics is really local. And to me, the reason that's so important is because in every major city, I would say probably the top 20 cities, they're all Democrats. They're all Democratic cities, which means that, in my view, the people in those cities made the decision that these type of policies are what's going to be best for this city. And so the reason I say all politics is local is because you can worry about Biden, but at the end of the day, who your city council person is, who your county commission person is, who your school board member is, really has a bigger impact on your life than, let's say, your congressperson. So, what do you think about that?
Well, 100%, because these people make decisions involving business, employers, economic development. Your economic development on your local level, what our local chambers of commerce do, like the LGBT Chamber of the Carolinas, for example, drives a lot of business. It creates a lot of great resources. As we saw in the pandemic, the early days of the pandemic, the LGBT Chamber and the SBA swung into action and made the pandemic relief for small businesses here locally more readable, more understandable, helped with paperwork, helped people qualify, for example. Which, even though the LGBT Chamber is a nonprofit and it's not a political entity, the paperwork involved is a political process. It is, you are involving a governmental agency, which is run by, people in Washington, D.C. The SBA is a national program that is a branch of the federal government. And so one of the things with policy, especially on local policy, is figuring out the state and federal programs, the incentives, what you can do, what the EPA will allow, things of that nature, which all go hand in hand. But more or less, the best way to say what our local branches of government does, they are the front lines of democracy. They decide, tax rates, depending on what kind of taxation system you have in your state, whether it's mostly like in Texas, for example, it's very property tax dependent. Valuations. Some other states use more ad valorem or sales tax methodology. Some have a state income tax, some don't. But it all involves, local politics, local lobbying, local developers, business drivers, whether they're small or large corporations. Even the zoning is local. I mean, it's locally controlled. It's federally controlled. But Washington, D.C. doesn't say you can't build that factory over there. That's a local decision. There's so many things. Even our show about our foosball stadium and the billionaire owner trying to shake us down for another stadium when this current stadium is a really nice facility.
We should have talked about that with our current events, the lawsuits, bankruptcy, and all that kind of stuff.
And so it affects so many things. Quality of life. You're going to deal more with your local politicians than you're ever going to do with a president or a senator.
Exactly.
Or anything like that. If they handle more of the what I call the macro socioeconomic things, like what we're talking about right now. Abortion, civil rights. They do pass the other things and other funding programs, but it still gets distributed and managed by your local politicians and your local boards and stuff like that.
But you know what's so bizarre, Jenny, and I know you and I talked about this a lot. It's so interesting to see how things have flipped just in the last 10 years. There was a time where Republicans were all about local rule, states' rights, local rule, small federal government, local rule. We should make the decision at the local level what's best for our families and so forth. Well, now that they don't control the cities, the top 20 cities are all Democrats. They're like, the state should rule, the federal government, Trump should rule. So it's such hypocrisy.
But it does vacillate depending on what subject you're talking about. So, like the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, for example, that became a law, they didn't want local school districts to be able to discuss these social things that are
Exactly.
that have evolved through more open and more inclusive policies over the last 20 and 30 years. And so you have a state jumping in and telling local universities, school districts, and all this, you can't.
Which is opposite. Yeah.
And which is the polar opposite. Now,
exactly.
If you're talking about the brand new version of segregation, which is, these charter schools, which is just, I just want my little Johnny to sit next to black and brown kids. So let's come up with these special schools so my kid can go there, because I don't want him going to the local school because a lot of people of color have moved into my neighborhood and I don't want them to go to neighborhood school anymore. So we've got these private public schools that are just watering down the public school system. And we wonder why our public schools are struggling, is because you've now built redundant schools using the same amount of money coming in. Because nobody, especially older people on fixed incomes, are not going to want their taxes raised because some jackass Republican doesn't want his kids next to his car. And so they've come up with this new scheme of privatizing schools in a way. And it's just like every other Republican scam. Every time they privatize basic utilities, just like they're finding out in Texas, they can't run their air conditioners. And we all know what Texas is like in the summer. So again, it's just a long list of Republican scams.
I knew you and I have talked about this before, and it's just like, the Republican Party, especially the Trump Republican Party, they have become the party of we hate everything. And I just don't understand how that's not sustainable. You can't. You can, but you can't live. You can't govern like I just hate everything.
So they had no platform in 2020. They literally made a choice when they had rolled out the RNC to not even have a written platform. The Republican ship is a ship without a rudder or a sail. It's just drifting around, and it's in politically choppy waters with no rhyme or reason on who is guiding the ship, who's the captain, who's the navigator. And they're just like spinning in circles, shooting off their cannons and raising their little flags, their little sissy flags. And because they got cucked by Biden. They got cucked by Biden by 8 million votes. And, as much as they make fun of Biden, do they realize they're making fun of a man that's their superior? Yeah. Well, they didn't do an in-person campaign rally from March of 2020 to November of 2020. He beat them on an entirely virtual, almost an 80-year-old man, beat him on one of the most highly technology-driven campaigns in world history, not just American history, but world history, and beat them by 8 million votes. And the only thing they can come up with is, there's missing votes. There has to be missing votes. But they're just a bunch of cuckolds and sissies. I got to tell you something really funny. So I'm in an undisclosed location for the month of July, and at this undisclosed location earlier today, because we're taping early, I was at this place where they play live music, and the person sitting next to me is from Orlando, Florida, and we were just chit chatting, yada yada yada, and I said, the crazy governor here, all that kind of stuff. He called him Dick Sucked Us. Wow. That's their name. That's his name for it. He said, "You mean our governor Dick Sucked Us?" And I was like, did he just? It was actually really. I was like, man, that's a joke I should have said. It was really funny. It was pretty freaking good. That is funny. So they hate him here or wherever we are. So it was funny. What can you imagine? Can you imagine having that idiot as your governor? Is that the only policies they have are based on hate? Exactly. When you think about it, you said completely right. They're hate everything policy, which in turn is what they're really saying is we hate Americans. And the honest truth is they hate what America stands for, which has always been. When I was a kid, we always every time that we had one of these performative, patriotic holiday type things like 4th of July, which is just a stupid holiday anyway. And there was just like it's a birthday party or something.
Yeah.
And the big old queens get all their flags out and, and just tear up when they hear the Star Spangled Banner. And I'm like, and women are the emotional ones, right? And you see people like that one congressman, Boner or whatever, he cries at every time the national anthem.
Former Speaker of the House, yeah.
I'm just like,
he was very emotional.
What a loser. What a loser. Like, if you hate everybody, which the Republican Party does, and they've done that for a long time, because Reagan hated the gays and black people too. And you got his heir apparent, which is, dumpster. And just what a stupid fucking political party they've turned into. Like, they just, if Eisenhower was still alive, can you imagine? If Eisenhower was still alive, he'd be a Democrat.
Well, I'm still waiting to find a Republican like we used to have. I mean, we have the loudmouth Trump people,
but a real Republican, we haven't had since Eisenhower. So we've never been alive when we've had a real Republican.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like from Nixon on, Nixon was a dirty cheater. Reagan was a dirty cheater. Papa Bush was a scumbag. Sold us out to the Defense Department. W was a cheater. And Trump's an idiot. And so when you think about the Republican legacy since you and I have been alive, there's never been one. They've claimed one thing, but they've never done it. They've never, when they talk about balanced budgets and socialism, they're the biggest socialists on the planet. They're the biggest queens on the planet. Yeah. They've spent more money than a drunken sailor on shore leave. Like they've spent us into oblivion with fake Star Wars programs just to get over on the Russians. And they come up with all these schemes and all these ploys, which the only thing it does is make their buddies richer, which in turn they throw some money back their way to run their campaigns. But it's that party has never stood for anything since we've been alive in our lifetime. What's their values? Watergate, Iran-Contra.
I agree. I agree.
They just go from
they're all
one
about
scam.
They're all about what they don't like.
They go from one scam to another, and Democratic presidents always have to come back in and clean up all their messes. Like Obama spent his whole first term, him and Biden cleaning up W's messes. That's all Biden's doing now. Biden Harris, that's all they're doing is basically their presidential janitors. They come in, spill an all American, and Democrats have always, FDR had to do the same thing. Is that when are we as a people going to stop electing Republicans in the presidency, especially? I know this is supposed to be a local show, but it affects the local governments. When we spend $8 billion on a war for profit, that means that we can't spend money on city infrastructure. And our infrastructure is more broken down in the modern era than before the electrification programs of the 1930s and 40s.
But Jenny, but I mean, I know this is about local, and we only got like 3 minutes left, but I think it speaks volumes that the top 20 cities, we live in Charlotte, North Carolina, Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, all the big cities, especially the emerging cities, they're all governed by Democrats. Because basically what it's saying is that Republicans have said, this is what we will do if we are in charge. And the voters are saying, I don't want you to run my city. And so I think that speaks volumes of the fact that the people in these major cities, the banking industries, all of these financial industry cities, they're saying, I don't want Republicans to run my city.
But let's say it what it really is.
Yeah.
People in cities have to fight harder and hustle for their money, aka they're more savvy and they're more smart than our rural counterparts.
No,
it's the truth.
I agree. Yeah.
People go live in small towns because it's easier to survive.
And they can't compete
lower. It's easier to fall down and get back up. It's harder to fight in a more competitive city. And that's just the truth. You like I moved here from a city of 200,000 people to the 15th largest city, and it is more of a struggle in certain ways for me to live here. But my opportunity, my upside is way higher. I couldn't be doing this type of show in Amarillo, Texas. I couldn't be meeting and got the opportunity to be nominated by the mayor of Charlotte to be on the board that I'm on with the city of Charlotte. That never would have happened in Amarillo because it's a small city, it's a small town, and it's all these small, thoughtless towns like that are going to be run by Republicans because, quite frankly, Amarillo is an oversized truck stop. And so Charlotte's a major tech city. It's a major banking city. It has a very sophisticated voting bloc. And when you're sophisticated, aka more educated and smarter and more savvy, you're going to be a Democrat because you want a political party that has a platform, that has some place to go, and the greenhouse gases are getting worse. That you don't make everything political. The Democratic Party does not make everything political. They look at problems and they tackle problems.
So we only have like a minute left. We've got to close down the show because we're going to do this short show. But there's a person that's been on our show. I won't name the person's name, but this person's running for county commission for my district. I've been a fan of this individual. So this person who's running for county commission ran for Congress, but now he's running for county commission again because he used to hold the seat, but he was defeated by a Democratic woman who beat him. So this individual sent an email out this last weekend, and it said that about the abortion ruling and about how proud this person was that he was pro-life and so forth. And it was so, I wanted to reply back. And so this is such a losing issue for you. Do you realize that you are running in a district that is women value their reproductive justice rights? Even the Republican women in our district are 80-something% of, and so I wanted to say, this is not the battle you want to fight in a big city. Maybe if you were running like in a smaller city or whatever, but not in a big city, And so anyway, I don't know why I thought of that. That was just.
Go move to Moose Knuckle, North Carolina or South Carolina.
Union County.
Like that. or even a backwards place like Union County, which is, basically our local sewer. Mm-hmm. That type of brain dead, backwards ass 16th century politics doesn't work in a modern city. It just doesn't. And I know who you're talking about. And he also graduated from Liberty University too.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
If you look at his bio,
that explains a lot. I mean, that explains a lot.
I mean, they fight against everything, including LGBT rights, but they sure do love their pool boys.
Well, on that note, we're going to end the show. So, Jenny, tell us where you're going to be over the next week. We got 4 shows here in July, and so where are you going to be over the next week?
Well, there's a lot of local. We have a local city elections in July, and so we do have that going on. I've got a few activities I'm going to be doing, and then just work on some personal business. And low key, I don't celebrate the 4th. I don't care for fireworks. I don't care for fireworks displays. I've spent most of my life thinking they're extremely stupid. And an absolute waste of money. I think every time I see a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 display, I'm thinking, could have fed a lot of people in the shelters and stuff, and over.
But they're so pretty.
They're pretty. But why not just use laser light shows now? I mean, and be more friendly. And it keeps from scaring the dogs. Like, it's petrifying to, especially dogs, and cause them a lot of anxiety. Just so some people can do a basically performative violent act, I think is so passe and so stupid and typical of mouth breathers. But anyway.
Well, and I will be here at my undisclosed location. This is my last week being I guess technically single. I don't feel single, but we'll talk about it next week. And so this is going to be an exciting week for me. And also, I do want to let you know, I think next week's show, I can't remember. I don't have our calendar in front of us. I think it's Barbara Spears' Choice or something. Anyway, one of those shows. And then we'll be talking about Free Cuba. A year ago, there was a Free Cuba movement, and we'll be talking to some people about what happened with that. So with that said, don't forget, in about 30 minutes, stay tuned to Jenny's show, Coffee, Two Queers in a Truck. So with that said, anything else, Jen, before I play my music?
I'm going to carry it on out.
Okay, here we go. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Be safe.
Let's see if you can hear this. Bye, y'all. See you next week.
See you next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. We had a short but mighty show this week just to honor Christian's commitments while he's in his undisclosed location. But we always appreciate y'all participating and watching our show. Y'all are our neighbors, what makes us a better community. So thanks for watching. Be safe. It is hot out there. Drink some water. Bye, y'all.
See you next week. Bye.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.